So I did not get a chance to read over your consultation form. So go ahead and just fill me in.
Okay, my form was very thorough, so I understand.
I've just been super busy. I was booked 8 to 8 yesterday. And
Oh boy.
So
Yeah, okay, so basically, Hogan is a little bit over a year old now. I got him when he was maybe 10 weeks, I think, from a shelter. And when I first got him, he was just the sweetest, like most fun-loving, loved every single person, every dog, like just he just was awesome. But my other dog, Harvey, he's like a little bit, he is kind of like scared of men and people in uniforms. So Hogan kind of learned like Harvey's reactions to that, but that wasn't that big of a deal because he was still like more independent and like on it, like I don't know, not following Harvey so much. But in March, that's when things got not great. So he got neutered, and then obviously COVID happened, and so the day after he got neutered, we left my condo in Chicago and went to South Bend, Indiana, where we were completely isolated for almost 2 months, not quite, but almost. And it was like after that I noticed he just kind of started freaking out every time a person was walking by us. I started taking him to a daycare that was in Michigan. It's his favorite place in the world. He loves it there, and he never had any problems with the people there, but sometimes there would be dogs that he would kind of get in trouble with. And then I don't know, so I moved back from I didn't even move back. I came home to Chicago for a weekend, and it was a disaster. Like his aggression just like was it was escalated. Every time he saw a person, he just went wild, and people were scared of him. And then so that was just the one weekend. And when we got back to South Bend, I thought maybe, he would go back to kind of being calmer, but it stayed that bad. And he ended up, so we were like walking by this group of people, and he started going crazy, and I was holding him back so that he wouldn't attack them, and he ended up biting me. That happened more than once because I just didn't want him biting anyone else.
Sure.
And so he has ended up biting me a few times in the attempt to
someone.
Yeah.
How many bites?
I would say 4.
Punctures?
Yes.
Bad, or just like breaking a bit of the skin?
Breaking a bit of skin, and I am very pale, so they did leave huge bruises, and they looked really bad, and they were painful, but I mean, it was never, there was stitches or never needed or anything like that.
Okay. So light punctures. Okay. Is this like a full-on bite, or is this kind of like he just catching you?
Honestly, I don't know, because like I'm in such a panic in that situation too. Like I'm not really paying attention to what he is doing, just trying to get him away.
On you, did it seem like a few teeth, or did it seem like a lot of teeth?
I think a lot. I don't. Okay. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I understand.
Yeah, I think. But yeah, so when that all started, I took him to training at the farm daycare place that we were going to, and basically because I was trying to leave South Bend to move back into my condo, and I couldn't with him being the way he was. So I did a 3-week training program with them where we learned pretty much just how to be on a leash, because like that was really just all we had time to do. And so I ended up, they gave me, it's not a muzzle, but it's like a, what is it, a leader? Yeah. So we have one of those, and it's definitely helpful, and like all the tips that they gave me were helpful, and we're so much better walking on a leash like outside, but in the hallways, in the elevator, like it's still a disaster. But I actually ended up moving, partially because of him, but also because I just wanted to move. So now I'm in a townhouse where, so we don't have hallways or the elevators, but he goes to the window and gets crazy anytime he hears someone walking by, or like in the backyard, he'll jump up on the fence when he hears something. So it's still an issue. And like I want to be able to have people over if COVID ever ends, but like I don't know. So I just want to work on it. Even though it's better than it was, it's still a problem.
So if he sees people outside, like if you're walking with him, does he react but you have control now, or is it he's just overall better?
I don't let him get to the point where he can react, like as soon as we see a person, we turn, or I will, drop some treats on the ground so he's focused on that, and then we go like it. So he just doesn't, if he's on a leash with me, he will not react unless I don't have, like, I don't know,
Sure.
unless I like haven't seen the person and I don't maneuver it. But
Okay. Have you ever like just turned around a corner and come across a person?
yeah, and then we tried it. That actually did happen
Okay.
a couple weeks ago, and I ended up getting bit. That was the last time I
That
was
was
bit.
one of the times. Okay.
Yeah, so
If he
it was,
tries and you don't have time to
yeah,
do the other stuff.
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah,
How's he with dogs that he sees on the streets?
same.
Reactive?
Mhm. And then so I can't walk them together anymore because he gets my other dog all riled up,
Sure.
and so like with the two of them, it's just, I mean, it's not great.
Sure. How much does Hogan weigh?
About 30-ish pounds.
Okay. And is he the one that just came up right now?
Yeah, he's
Okay. And he was neutered back in March pre-COVID, and then the isolation happened.
I mean, he was neutered like the week that COVID like really,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
So
And then Harvey, how old is Harvey?
Harvey is 3.
And how big is Harvey?
He is 45 pounds.
Okay. So you walk Hogan on the gentle leader. Is Harvey on a gentle leader as well?
Mm-mm.
No. Is he on a harness?
No, so he's a bulldog, and all of his strength is in his chest. So I actually just do a collar.
A flat collar?
Yeah, because it's a lot. When you put a harness on him, he pulls
Yeah, for
so
sure.
much more.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. How'd you hear about us?
I was doing a lot of research into how to help my dog and found y'all on the internet.
Okay. You from the South?
I am.
Okay. I'm from Florida because I used to say
Okay.
I say y'all, so I always point that out.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Oh wait, I do have one more thing. Hogan actually right now has kennel cough, so he is a lot calmer than normal, which is nice, but it's also very sad because I don't like him being sick. So if you hear some wheezing, that's him.
Okay. How long has he had that for?
He got diagnosed yesterday.
Okay. So I built my career on working with behavior cases. So this is not out the ordinary for me. And then what you're experiencing is actually normal, or kind of like what I would expect considering everything that happened. COVID has created a lot of issues with dogs.
I can imagine.
The biggest thing is separation anxiety,
Yeah,
for the most
my
part.
other dog is, yeah, that's
But in your case, with the isolation, and you said you're in South Bend, Indiana, where
Mhm.
you were.
Yeah.
So then it went from, kind of, I'm assuming like an extreme of like quiet, no interaction, to like now I'm in Chicago,
Mhm.
right? So now you have kind of like polar opposites. Now that is actually pretty common. So I get clients that move from like, quiet Michigan or suburb Chicago, and they move into the city, and then their dog is either dog reactive, human reactive, displaying signs of separation anxiety, on edge all the time because of just a change of energy. So
Mhm.
like, if you go outside here in Chicago, you can hear, like right now I can hear the expressway, I can hear trains going by, I can hear the traffic on Western, you
Mhm.
know, and for us, like, we're just like, oh, it's just cars and it's whatever, it's just Chicago.
Right.
But for dogs, it can be pretty drastic, okay, where it's this constant energy around them, and it makes them uncomfortable, and then from there, or it puts them under stress, and then from there we get the stress responses. Okay,
Mhm.
now it sounds like Hogan here is really overreacting, um, simply because of the redirection. Okay, now when you try to in any scenario that you've gotten bit, when you try to control or de-escalate him, are you actively putting yourself around him, or
So
is he just
originally,
holding him and he's turning
yeah.
around?
Well, so first, the first time, the first 3 times I was bit was before we started training. Oh my God, he's walking towards me holding his bowl right now, and I like can't handle it. It's so cute. It's not time for food though. So the first 3 times were before I started going to training with him. So the very first time I was just trying to hold him back,
Sure.
and he bit my leg. And then the second few times I was holding him because I saw a person and I knew he was going to react. So I just picked him up and he bit me on my face, and then
Oh,
another
wow.
time like on my shoulder.
Okay.
So, and then the last time it was me just trying to redirect him, and there was nowhere to redirect because there was a person in each direction. So,
Sure.
yeah, so then he bit my leg.
Okay. Um, so with the redirection, the way that it was, from what I'm seeing, like especially with the picking up, that's definitely something I would expect to happen.
Right. And
And I
that's
understand
why,
why you had to do it. Yeah.
once we started doing training, I learned that's not what we should be doing. So,
Yeah. So, and just as a heads up for now, with your gentle leader, I always choke up on the leash closer to the clip, and you
okay.
pull straight
Okay.
up and away.
Okay.
Right. So when you're that close to the clip, right, and it's just you're close enough that when you pull up, it's an immediate response
Mm-hmm.
from Hogan. His head can't help this, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't have, because a lot of people give too much slack, and then they're all the way up here,
Okay.
right? Whereas if I choke up, I'm just like right here to my side, and we do up and away. So if the dog tries to come towards us, they can't reach us. And
Mm-hmm.
since we're going up, even if he tries to jump up and bite, because you're closer to the where the clip is on the leash, you end up going up with him that he can't reach, and then you come down with him.
Okay.
Okay, but you keep it up so his head is like this the entire time. Because with a gentle leader, it'll close his mouth,
Right.
right? And then you just contain the situation. But you
Okay.
keep yourself at a distance while at the same time preventing, because he's not going to be able to jump forward. Like, if no matter how tight it is, as long as you're pulling up enough that this is happening, he can't move forward.
Okay.
Okay, so it kind of just isolates him. It's not going to help him learn to stop the behavior, but it keeps you safe. It keeps whoever's around you safe, and it gives you more control. Once everything's in the clear, you slowly ease that pressure, because there could be unresolved tension that when you ease it, he'll jump up and then you go up with him again. Okay. And there's actually a video on my website. If you want to YouTube it, it's Malachite Lesson 2.
Let me write that down. Okay, what was that?
Malachite Lesson 2.
Okay.
And in that video, you see me do the up and away with the owner. So it gives you a visual of what we're doing. Okay. So, does he have anybody like in a trust circle, you know, outside of you?
So my girlfriend, he like loves her, except when they first met was during COVID, and he actually like hated her. And that was also a whole issue. We went to Wisconsin, and it was like about 24 hours of him trying to attack her. But since then they're like best friends. So
okay, so after that first 24 hours, did he just like switch and he was fine?
Yeah, I mean, basically because every time he started barking, we put him into a separate room. And then when he stopped barking, we let him out. And so like barking and like attacking. And after that, he was totally cool. And like now he remembers her still. So yeah, I would say that. And then there's one other of my friends that he doesn't bark at. So I guess that.
Friend? Does he like this friend?
Yes, I think so. I mean, he doesn't bark at him, and he sits next to him. So.
Okay. All right.
Oh, and there's this girl from the farm that he is absolutely in love with. Like she's like 13 or 14, something like that, and they're just best friends. But you know, he hasn't gotten to see her since we moved back to Chicago.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are your goals with Hogan here?
I just want to like it's hard for me to see him like how reactive he is, because I know it's like from anxiety, and he didn't used to be that way. So like I want to help him get better, but I also like want to be able to you know, walk him and not scare people or have friends over who aren't one of the three that I mentioned, and him not attack them. So
okay. Anything else?
I just want my sweet boy back.
Just kind of go back to like a normalcy.
Yeah.
Okay. So the main thing, the way that I would approach this case here is the issues are coming from obviously that isolation and then being overwhelmed with stress. Okay. Now, at the same time, you have to change how you perceive and like look at Hogan.
Okay.
So like humans get dogs for companionship, and dogs don't need companionship.
Okay.
Okay. So like, you know, dogs are meant to hunt and survive and mate and replicate and all that stuff on their own. And then of course, like they live with us and like we neuter them and all that, and they're guaranteed a meal every day and stuff like that. And that's not how it's supposed to be. Okay. A lot of people view dogs as their children. or their family, right? And that can work against you because you can't be an authority figure and his friend at the same time.
Hogan.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's kind of like my mom. Like my mom's my mom, right?
Yeah.
She's not my friend. She's not my buddy. Like she's my mom.
Okay.
And same thing, like let's say with like cops. Cops are cops. They're not out there to be people's friends. They're out there to like reinforce the laws and keep people in line. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm not saying you can't ever show your dog affection and stuff, but you know, like when he brought the bowl over and you were kind of like, oh my God, I can't with this dog, right?
It's really cute.
Yeah.
So I'm
Is
not supposed to react like that.
well, I understand it, and I'm not saying that you can't because obviously, that's
He
part of
must
why
have
you
heard
have
you
to.
because he just went back to doing that. So
But once we start to establish structure, like I don't care that people cuddle their dogs. I don't care that people give their dogs affection and all that. I just care that there's an appropriate balance to things.
okay.
Okay. People typically do more affection and all that other stuff, the treats and everything, but no real consequence or like structure for the dog. So it's very one-sided.
Yeah.
Okay. And that when you're coddling him or you're giving him affection or just like the lack of like appropriate rules and boundaries, you're actually presenting yourself as a weaker energy.
Okay.
Okay. So like if a dog is flipping out, he's flipping out. Let's say for example, for Hogan, you take him out, he goes under stress. Okay. He's under stress because he does not know who the hell is in charge.
Okay.
So he's going, well, if mom's not in charge, and and I know you said he picked up the behavior from, was it Harvey?
Yeah.
Is someone has to be in charge. Okay. In the human world, if we looked at a family, mom, dad, kids, we would assume mom and dad are in charge.
Correct.
Right. And the kids are the kids. The kids don't tell the parents what to do. So there's a hierarchy there. Here at my business, I'm the boss, I'm the employer, so I'm the top, and then there's like my kennel manager, then there's like my head trainer, and then there's my trainers and handlers, right? So there's like a hierarchy. So it's the same thing for dogs. There's always a hierarchy going on that people aren't aware of,
Mm-hmm.
and that hierarchy is important because if if you're in charge, then the stress of what's going on in the world is your problem, not his.
Okay.
Okay. So it's kind of like when I work with my clients and their dogs are being jerks and then they're like freaking out because they're like, is this normal? I'm like, well, it's normal for your issue that you're dealing with, but not normal.
Right.
And then they're like worried. I'm like, look, when you see me worrying or freaking out, then you can worry and freak out. Okay.
Okay.
Because the whole time I'm sitting there like completely oblivious. Well, not oblivious, but like, it's just like whatever. Like this is a day in the office.
Yeah.
So knowing that provides the owner with comfort because they're like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'll just watch Jesse's energy. And the moment I see him start to worry, then I'll start to worry. Okay. So that's the same thing for Hogan here. Okay. He's like, if I see mom freak out, then I'll freak out, kind of thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're in charge, he's like, hey, I don't like what's going on here. But he's looking at you and he's like, well, mom's completely chill, relaxed. Cool. Then I don't have to worry about anything.
Okay.
Okay. So the way I'd go about addressing a case like this is, we wouldn't go out looking for him to be super reactive. I would actually start with just teaching him how to walk my style,
Okay.
using the heel command. Now,
Okay.
I don't want you to think that obedience is what's going to help with the problem. Okay.
Okay.
It's not the obedience, but the discipline behind it. Okay. And anytime you hear me talking to someone in behavioral class, you'll always hear me talk about discipline more so than obedience. Okay. So let's say for Hogan, let's say he's annoying Harvey. Okay.
Okay.
And Harvey was going to correct Hogan. How do you think he would correct him?
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
How do you think Harvey would correct Hogan?
He snaps. He starts like growling or
Yeah.
yeah.
So he starts to snap or bites him.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's discipline.
Okay.
Hogan's annoying Harvey, and Harvey goes, look, I'm 3 years old. I'm not going to tolerate this. Boom.
Yeah.
And then Hogan has a chance to respond. And he either goes, nope, not going to do that anymore. Or he goes, who are you to discipline me?
Okay.
So then it becomes a fight until somebody wins.
Okay.
So I train, I'm sure you did, because you said you did your research, using e-collar and prong collar.
Right.
Okay, more so e-collar than prong. And are you familiar with the what an e-collar is?
Yeah. So I did have a bark collar for Hogan at some point, which I know is kind of similar, but I didn't control it like he technically did. So yeah.
So a bark collar or e-collar, have you ever been to a chiropractor or physical therapist?
Yes.
Have you ever had stim?
Yes.
That's an e-collar.
Oh.
Okay. So it's a muscle contraction.
Okay.
Now bark collars operate a little bit differently. Like you said, he controls it. If he doesn't bark, nothing happens. If he barks, something happens. Is with the bark collar, yours may have had like 5 levels, maybe 10.
I think it was 5. It was, yeah.
Okay, yeah, 5 is pretty standard. My collar or the training collars that we use come with the remotes, and they go up to 127. Okay, so 5 and 127 are the same.
Oh.
But I have 122 more divisions.
Okay.
So people usually think it's 122 more levels.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it's the same power at the max, but there's more divisions.
Okay.
So it's much more refined.
Okay.
Okay. So that contraction of the bark collar, I would liken it to being bitten.
Okay.
Dog. So like, let's say Hogan barked and he had that bark collar, it would contract his muscle. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't, it would like bite him.
Yeah.
We would do the behavior that we didn't want automatically. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas with the e-collar, you're in control of it. So if you don't press a button, nothing happens. Okay. So I like to refer to the e-collar as a bite on the button.
Okay.
So when we're teaching the heel, we're doing 2 things here. We're doing structure. We're teaching him that he needs to follow you and focus on you and not worry about what's going on within the environment. But the second time, at the same time, we're also working on discipline, working on physicality. And the physicality is what helps calm him down. Okay. Okay. So it's like a kid. If you don't put rules on a kid, they just do whatever they want to become a brat. Mm-hmm. Right? Rules are meant to teach what's allowed and what's not allowed. So for him, if he's not had formal rules, everything is an option. Mm-hmm. Right? Including throwing a shit show whenever he goes under stress. Yeah. And we want to teach him that those things are not options and he needs to relax himself. Okay. So the way I would approach this case is day one, we almost always work on the leash walking. Okay. Right? Whether it's, in your case, it's reactivity, if there's separation anxiety or anything like that, because a lot of times the leash walking will correct like 70 to 80% of behaviors. Okay. So I always come in with that first because I go, what will this fix by itself? Okay. And then once we have the first class, I see you a week later, you're my feedback. Okay. And you say, Jesse, the leash walking exercise stopped all the human reactivity. Okay. But it's still reactive with dogs. Then I go, cool. We got a big chunk out the way. right?
Yeah.
Because people are everywhere. Dogs, you'll see them intermittently depending on where you live.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll make a couple of tweaks. Like I'll ask you a couple of questions, and then we'll make a couple of tweaks. Then we work on the second half of heal because it's usually a 2-class exercise.
Okay.
I see you week 3. How'd it go? Jesse, even better. But he still barks at dogs that bark at him. And I go, that's normal. Okay. And then I'll give you some more things to do to address that. And then we'll work on the next thing. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm not so much cookie cutter in terms of the approach, but
Mm-hmm.
almost always leash walking will be the first class.
Okay.
Okay. And everything else is play it by ear.
Okay.
When it comes to reactivity, it's a spectrum. Human reactivity tends to go away first. Okay. Tends to be the first thing that goes away. Then it's walking past calm dogs.
Okay.
Excited puppy type energy tends to be in the middle. Other reactive dogs or sudden run-ins with dogs, or in your case, people, is end of spectrum. Okay. Because other reactive dogs are putting out threat to Hogan. So
Mm-hmm.
they're talking crap and he's talking crap back. Okay. So he's more incentivized to be reactive.
Okay.
When you turn the corner and there's a person or dog, it's so sudden, that he's kind of caught off guard and he's just going to respond. Okay. So those tend to be end of spectrum. So it's not that you won't get over it, it's that it's going to take you longer.
Okay.
Okay. That's how, and this is 10 years of experience of just watching reactivity and how it progresses. That's the spectrum. Okay. Every now and then I'll get a dog who maybe has really bad reactivity towards skateboarders. That's their worst thing, but it's more so the skateboard than it is the person.
Okay.
Okay. So then, each time you come across whatever the trigger is, you would tell me, and then we're making adjustments so that we can stop the behavior.
Okay.
But we don't only want to just stop it. Ideally, we want to prevent it as well. So, once you start working with him and practicing, it's like, okay, cool. 7 out of 10 times he's not reactive. That's 70%. I go, great. And we just keep making adjustments until you're as close to 100% as possible. Now, people tend to think, that they put too much on the dog. And they'll say oh, well, how long before the dog is fixed? I'm like, well, it's not so much about being fixed because he's an animal.
Mm-hmm.
He's a creature. He make decisions, right? He has emotions and stress levels as well. Is what I'm looking for is if every day was constant anxiety of when is my dog gonna I know my dog's gonna be reactive, and then it's oh yeah, he was reactive once over the course of 6 months, and I stopped it really easy. I go, there you go. Okay. People tend to think once you fix it, you never see it again. I'm like, people aren't even like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So just making sure that we're aware of that. But what I want you to at the end of your program is to feel comfortable and confident of yes, my dog is 180. He's non-reactive a majority of the time, but I understand that life's going to happen. Something might catch us off guard, but I have the means to get him back under control again and not have him regress.
Okay.
Okay. And e-collar is what makes this all more easy.
Okay.
Because I don't have to worry about your technical skill as a handler. It's really everything's at the press of a button.
Okay.
The exercises are very simple. And now because of COVID, I don't touch the dogs anymore unless needed. Sorry, I'm blowing up over here. I don't work with the dog anymore. I coach you through it.
Okay.
Okay. So everything's tied to you from beginning to end, which is really good because in the beginning, pre-COVID, I used to work with the dog in front of the owner, and the owner would observe and kind of learn what I was doing. And then I'd give the dog back and then I would coach them through it. But I would get a lot of work done, but it was tied to me.
Gotcha.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So then, because dogs are very much they're able to relate, who has more skill than the other and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So now as hard as it can be, and the first class is the hardest because nobody knows other than me knows what they're doing.
Okay.
Is after you get over that, I mean, you learn a lot, you know, because I'm coaching you through everything. So you're there hands on, just figuring it out as I'm coaching you. So then in life, if something pops up, you've already done it.
Okay.
You've already practiced it, you know. So then you get better as a handler. And then he recognizes that, and ideally he gets better in response because he's like, all right, cool. Mom doesn't tolerate this stuff, but she also knows how to take care of the situation. So I don't have to worry about anything. Okay.
Okay.
Question so far.
No.
So we have obviously the outside reactivity, we have people coming over, and there's going to be some degree of socialization just because of all the isolation stuff. Okay. Now, when he met your girlfriend, how old was Hogan at that time?
Like a 6 or 7.
6 or 7 months?
Like 8 months, 7 or 8 months.
Okay, cool. And what about your friend that he likes?
He met him when he was pre-COVID, so he was like 10 weeks, 12 weeks.
Super young.
Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So so typically when dogs develop issues, it's usually at the 6-month mark or at the year mark.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And a lot of times when the dog has issues with people, anybody that met pre 6 months or pre the behavior problem, they're good with, and then everybody outside of that is not in the trust circle.
Gotcha.
So it's actually good that he warmed up to your girlfriend post the problem, and that it only took him a day, and it only took him a day, and in my opinion, using a method that's that I wouldn't do.
Okay.
Okay, not to say that it was wrong.
Yeah.
But I would anticipate where I would go like, yeah, like, because I get plenty of other people who have done what you've done. And they're like, the dog still hates the person.
Okay.
You know? So the fact that he warmed up to her after 24 hours of that is actually a good sign.
Okay.
Okay. So I think getting them back to stability won't be a problem. And I know there was the redirects, but the redirects were just because of not knowing how to handle the situation correctly. Okay.
Right.
So I don't think like he's like a lost cause or anything. I just think that with the appropriate tools, if anything, he should, I'm hopeful that he would progress rather quickly. Okay.
Okay.
So the way I would kind of picture this going forward is we would spend 2 classes on teaching him how to walk correctly. Okay. Then we'd spend a class on people coming over.
Okay.
There's an exercise that I do. People visiting. There's an exercise that I do to communicate with Hogan that, hey, you don't need to flip out. Like, this is my friend. Okay. Then a class on formal socialization, which is how to help build trust with him and people who come over. And if you wanted, like, you know, if you met with a friend outside or something, like in that scenario.
Okay.
And then, so I have 3, 6, 9, and 12-week programs. If all you're really concerned about is Hogan's reactivity and getting him to a place where you could have people come over and he'll start to open up to people, I don't care about strangers. I care about family. I care about friends. I care about people that you're going to see on a regular basis. I care about the maintenance man that's going to have to come over possibly or something. Okay. Because that's realistic. People on the street I could care less about. Okay. So that puts us at 4. And then, so I would put you, if that's what you care about, in the 6-week range.
Okay.
Okay. And this is, so the way I tailor my programs is I get a feel for your situation, and I have to, you know, determine, like, is this really behavior, or is this just a dog that's kind of like lost his way a bit?
Okay.
And in your case, it sounds like he just lost his way a bit.
Okay.
So once we start to put discipline and structure on him, my guess here is that he's going to just chill and then become more passive. and then go back to like normalcy. Okay. Is that I don't teach you stuff that you're not going to use.
Okay.
Okay. So outside of the leash walking stuff, it'll be more so targeting his behavior, which I'm looking at about 4 here. But the reason why I'm suggesting 6 is because maybe it doesn't work out that smoothly.
Okay.
Maybe you're still struggling with reactivity. So that still
Right.
gives us a couple of classes.
Okay.
Now, let's say everything is working great. And it's just like, man, Jesse, this is like a different dog, because it happens. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but it can happen.
Yeah.
Then we just continue. Like I just keep teaching you more stuff.
Okay.
Okay. So then what I would turn to is if you get a flip and he's like, and you're like, yeah, he's actually like doing really well and like not reactive, and he's being sweet and stuff. Then I go, cool. Then we'll just teach more obedience simply for the control factor.
Okay.
Okay. So like the next thing I would focus on is teaching him recall, which is come when called.
Mm-hmm.
If he should ever get off leash, you want to know that you have a means of getting your dog to return.
Yeah.
It's the like most important command. So that's kind of on the back burner as we see how he progresses. Okay. Now, there is the possibility that things don't go as smoothly as we hope.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, we should most likely know that by the first or second class.
Okay.
I actually just had a young lady start, what's today, Tuesday? On Sunday. And a really straightforward problem, except her dog is super resistant and would bite the leash and yank, and he's very powerful. And he nearly knocked her down, and he nearly knocked me down.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And he's jumping up and he's snapping. So there's the fear of the redirect.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this, it happens. Okay. And in this year, he's the second dog. So going 10 months into 2020, this is the second dog that I've come across with that problem. So it's that rare.
Oh.
Okay. So if that happens, then, we'll stop and talk about like, well, how do you want to progress? Because it's, kind of out of the blue, but that can change things in terms of like how long things will take to address, because of course we weren't planning for the dog to be like that resistant. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
He just needed to go to the bathroom.
Oh, Hogan. Okay. I thought you were letting someone in.
Oh, no.
We'll let him finish because you're chopping up a little bit.
Let's see. Hogan, come on. Oh, now he's getting distracted. But okay, I'll just sit over here. Okay. We're good here.
Any questions so far?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I feel like the hardest part is really going to be training me versus him. So.
Yeah, so actually that's a very good point. So one of the biggest thing that holds people back is they feel bad. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can only take you as far as you're willing to go. Okay. And I've worked some pretty severe cases in my career. And what makes me effective is that when I come in, I'm like, I'll get it done.
Yeah.
Me. Right. But now you have to do the same thing.
Right.
And what makes me an effective trainer is that I don't have limitations. So like, let's say, so with the e-collar. I'm sorry?
Okay. I lost internet connection for a second. I'm back.
So with the e-collar, it goes 0 to 127.
Okay.
And like, most dogs are in the 25 to 35 range. That's like a common kind of spectrum. But like I get dogs that are at 85, 95 on just like a normal day. So, but the owners have a hard time getting to that point because they're like, wow, this is 95 out of 127. I'm like, yeah, but your dog's not listening to anything else.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, because they're afraid they're going to hurt their dog. They're afraid they're going to, hurt the relationship with their dog. Hello?
Yeah, this already, I feel like this sounds like me. So
Yeah. So that's also another thing that I have to, that we have to consider is, you know, if you're just in it and you're like, let's do this, and you just do what I tell you, you know, I'd expect a very quick
Mhm.
progress.
Okay.
But when it comes to the e-collar, the way we use it is the same way with humans. We start low and we work our way up.
Okay.
Okay, so with humans, they put the machine on and they say, tell us when it becomes too much. They start to
Mhm.
dial it up, and then you're like, oh, that's too much. And then they dial it
Right.
down, and they go, how's that feel? And you're like, I can deal with that. Right.
Okay.
Same thing for dogs. So
Mhm.
we start low, we work our way up. I don't know what Hogan's number is going to be. Hogan knows.
Okay.
Okay. Um, and then from there, you know, I just give you your homework, and then again, you have to practice that, and then you come back to me, and then we just um, play it by ear. Um, in your case, is he muzzle conditioned at all? No.
Oh.
Okay. Um, we could see how he does by on the first class,
Okay.
but that may be something you'll have to do.
Okay.
If you want to get ahead of the curve and just order a muzzle and start conditioning them, I
Okay.
suggest it, because
Great.
muzzle conditioning can take time.
Okay.
Okay. So like for the young lady that I saw on Sunday, when I saw her dog, you know, redirect and stuff, I was like, I would highly suggest you muzzle condition that dog.
Okay. So
Because
that's
it just,
different from the gentle leader.
yeah, because it's an actual muzzle.
Oh, okay.
Then he can't bite. I mean, he can
Okay.
bite, but he can't
Right.
get to you, right?
Gotcha.
Um, and the reason why I suggested it was because it takes one thing off of your mind. Okay, like not having to worry about, is he gonna bite me again or
Right.
bite somebody, right?
Right.
And if we see he takes to the e-collar really well, then we're good. You can remove it. His reactivity is going well. Good. Then, you know, we can remove it at some point, and you only use it when you need it. Because when the people come over, um, if we're gonna try to socialize Hogan to get him to a point where like he opens up to people, um, and like lets them pet him and stuff, like trying to again get him back to normalcy,
Mm-hmm.
is if you try to have someone come over and you explain to them like, yeah, well, Hogan's had issues with people and this and that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then you're like, we're trying to teach him to like trust people and all that. And you know, would you please pet him? They're gonna be like, well, if he doesn't really like people, he's gonna bite
Right.
me, right?
Yeah.
And then they're not gonna want to pet him. So the muzzle allows you down the line to push even further.
Okay.
Okay. And then if we see he's doing great, then awesome, you can move past the muzzle. Or you might see in the beginning, just for like you or your guests' peace of mind, you might have it on for the first 15 minutes, and then once he relaxes, you take it off and he's fine. You know, like there's a lot of ways it can play out. I know the ways, I just don't know when, like how it's gonna play out. Okay.
Okay.
And we can send you the information. Maria can send you the information for that, for the muzzles. We have a page on my website where we have videos on muzzle training and then the muzzles that we recommend. And I would highly suggest that you start that process now, because I've had a few people that I told them the same thing. Now they're in the consultation, get it now, and
Mm-hmm.
they wait till like the week before, and then it's a shit show.
Okay.
Okay, because
Is
then the
there
dog,
is there a brand that you recommend, or like just any?
Baskerville,
What was that?
Baskerville.
Baskerville.
Yeah, like basket, but with an R.
Got it.
Um, it's a cage. It's a hard rubber cage muzzle. He can eat. He can still eat. He can still drink water with it. He can open his mouth. It's meant for extended wear.
Okay.
And on the site, it should give you measurements, but sometimes the measurements are wrong.
Okay.
And people have been getting a size too big. So I usually recommend getting a couple of sizes and then picking the one that you need and then sending back the one that you don't need.
Okay.
Okay. Just remember to send it back, because people wait too long, then they can't return it.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
Um, doot, 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 doot. You said he's 30 pounds.
About, yeah.
Okay. So the one tricky part here is that you have two dogs, and one's going to be trained and one's not going to be trained.
Right.
Okay. Now, do you care about Harvey at all?
I mean, yeah, like I figured, because he's not as difficult, but I figured that I'm gonna have to like kind of translate what I learned with Hogan into.
Yes, because it's going to be hard to walk one dog under control and another dog kind of loose.
Right.
Now, he's a like is he the short stocky bulldog?
So he is a bulldog beagle mix.
Okay.
Oh my god, they're fighting over a stick right now. So.
So the model that I would recommend for you is the Doctra 2300, and Maria will send you this information as well.
Oh, okay. I've been writing it all down.
And what's nice about it is that it's expandable, so you can add a second dog without having to buy a whole separate system.
Okay.
Okay, and it's meant for 70-pound dogs and under, so it would cover Harvey Harvey, right? Harvey as well. You could try training Hogan on the e-collar and then Harvey on a prong collar.
Okay.
Because like with Harvey, like what do you care about? I'm guessing it's the reactivity stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, just he does it to a very much lesser degree of what Hogan does.
Okay.
But he does. I would say that my biggest issue with Harvey is his pulling.
Yeah. So the prong collar if that's on your only concern, the biggest thing that you need the dogs to do is just walk together without pulling. Okay. So and we would suggest the size and brand for the prong collar as well.
Okay.
The only issue is and maybe you're not going to have this because he's a beagle bulldog mix.
Yeah.
Is bulldogs are kind of notorious for having allergies and skin issues with the prong collar or the e-collar.
Oh.
So we'll have to see what happens. If it's an allergy issue with the prong collar, they do make other. They use different metals.
Okay.
So you can get like a different, one meant for dogs with allergy issues. And then with the e-collar, they also make hypoallergenic probes if you decide to go that route. But sometimes, bulldogs just have skin issues.
Okay.
So we'd have to play by ear. Okay. For the two, what I would suggest is for the first two classes, you extend half an hour.
Okay.
To give us 45 minutes to work with each dog.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, in most cases, it's fine.
Okay.
Okay, whenever I work with my multi-dog households, typically that half hour for the first two classes is fine. I've had people do all the classes an hour and a half, and it's too long. It's too much.
Okay.
Okay, because it's pretty simple. And for Harvey, it seems like all you care about is like the pulling and the reactivity as well.
Right, which, yeah, but I already know that like it's going to be easier to train Hogan than it is Harvey just because of his bulldog nature. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I see him there. Yeah. So yeah, that you can do a prong with him, see how he does, and then if it's like it's not doing too well, then you can pick up an e-collar for him, and then you would just pair it to yours, and then you'd have a 2-dog system.
Okay, got it.
Questions so far?
No.
So before we wrap up here, the most common question that I get is, when does the e-collar go away?
Oh, that's a good question.
In my book, when you need it, it doesn't. Okay. So what that means is when you're walking your dogs, they'd have the collar on.
Okay.
If they get over people coming over, you may not need it then, or maybe you just need it for the first 10 minutes and then afterwards they chill out and you can take it off and they're fine. Okay. But if they're great dogs within the home, then you don't need it then.
Okay.
It's not that you're always having to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you drive?
Yes.
Have you been on the expressway?
Yes.
Do you go the speed limit?
No.
Okay. Most people don't. Right? That's called opportunistic behavior.
Okay.
So if there's no cops or no squad cars or like
Right.
cameras, you can get away with it,
Right.
right? It's the same thing for dogs.
Okay.
Okay? So think of that e-collar as a cop on a collar.
Gotcha.
Okay, so when you need to have them under control and be non-reactive and stuff, the collars are on because the authority is present. And then once you remove it, then they're going to press the boundaries a bit.
Gotcha.
Okay, because people always, again, they're like, well, the dog should learn to know better. I'm like, well, humans know better, and not even humans are consistent.
Right.
Okay, so it's nothing bad. It has nothing to do with the training. It has nothing to do with my skills as a trainer or how much work you put into it. It's just how it works.
Okay.
So like my dogs have been off leash trained for about 8 years, and they still wear their e-collars. If I were to take them out and they're going to be off leash and stuff, you know. But if I take them out without their collar, you'll see the difference, how they're a little bit more looser and how they'll pull things a little bit or push the boundaries a bit. But other than that, it's pretty standard. So it's no big deal. It's just the way of the world. So after you've done your training and stuff, everything's going great. 6 months down the line, something pops up. No biggie. I have a means of control. Okay. The collars are a very good brand. I've had mine for 8 years, no issues. So they last a long time. They're completely waterproof, 3/4 mile range. So plenty of range for the standard family pet. And other than that, there shouldn't be really any issue.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah. So the first session would be both dogs, like you said.
Yeah, the first two.
The first two.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so how does that work? Like, where does the one dog go while we're focusing?
I can hold the other dog, or
Okay. Gotcha.
if I have a handler around, they can hold a dog.
Okay.
For you, because we've been training at Oz Park because of COVID, we've been training outside.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see. We can leave it to your discretion. If you want to work inside first, just learn everything
Mm-hmm.
and then practice so that you're not outside day one when it's going to be like really hectic.
Right.
Or we can go to a quieter part of the park and start there. So you'll still see people, but it won't be like throwing you in the middle of like the South Loop.
Okay.
Okay. And it's been slowing down a bit at Oz Park simply because of fall.
Right.
Which that's something to keep in mind is now that we're coming, so all during the summer and stuff because of COVID, we just started training at Oz Park because it's super busy over there.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good because people were learning in a busy environment. But now with the fall coming, if we get like rainy weather or stuff like that, we just train at my facility.
Okay.
So this way I don't get backed up.
Okay.
But my calendar is pretty busy.
Gotcha.
But as long as weather's permitting and the owner and the dogs are comfortable, we train at Oz Park currently still.
Okay.
And then everything's just kind of played by ear.
And then, so because he does have kennel cough right now, so should we wait until after, like?
You can. I mean, unless he was going into my facility, like if he was coming here, for sure we'd have to wait a little bit.
Okay.
But if we're meeting at the park or whatever, since I'm not really handling the dog, shouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
Trying to think if I worked with a dog with kennel cough before. I mean,
it's
I know
just like the vet even told me to like not have his collar on when he's inside because it's so bad.
Gotcha.
That was my concern, is that like if we're pulling and stuff. So
yeah, so I would err on the side of your veterinarian.
Okay.
Okay. And then when you book with Maria, chances are you're gonna have to like push it back anyways.
Okay.
just because I'm not sure when my earliest availability is,
Okay.
but she'll coordinate all that with you.
Okay. Sounds good.
Anything else?
Nope. That's it, I think.
So Maria will get in contact with you. She'll fill you in and send you a contract form, and then handle the scheduling and accounting stuff. And then once you're on the books, then I'll send you some videos to prep you for the class, and then we'll get started when you're ready.
Okay. Sounds good.
Alrighty?
Sorry, it was hectic around here.
No, you're fine. It was a pleasure, Emily. If you have any questions, you let us know, okay?
All right. Will do. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.
Bye.